Welcome to The Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by the voice of all combat sports, the legend Teddy Atlas. Teddy, how you doing?
I'm good. Fresh back. I don't know if fresh is the right term here. When you're coming back from, 8-hour time difference and over 16-hour flight, whatever, altogether. But fresh back from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Got back late last night with my son after being out there, of course, for the fight. And then the best part is, of course, I make the trip all the time with my son. I'm blessed. But what kind of gives you energy coming back is you come back, you're a little tired, you don't complain because you're fortunate, you're blessed. So you don't complain about being jet lagged or something stupid like that. But if you were a little tired, which is, normal, you don't need a coffee. You don't need a Red Bull. All you need is to know that your grandson from Las Vegas is here for the holidays, and your daughter-in-law and your whole family, so we can all be together for the holidays. Tomorrow we're going to go down to my daughter Nicole's. She's got 3 of our grandchildren there, but my grandson, for all of you guys that have been with us for a long time now, you know that my son lives in Las Vegas. He came in before I went to Riyadh. He went with me, and then last night on a red eye from Vegas, my son's wife and my grandson flew in. My son got up at 5 a.m. with my wife. They let me sleep so I could look a little bit together with Ken today. A little bit, otherwise I'd be worse than, forget it. Imagine you come back and then you got to get up at 5 a.m. So they were good enough to go and pick up my grandson and my daughter-in-law at the airport. And then, like I said, you wake up and your grandson that you haven't seen enough, who's been in Vegas, is here. He's 6 years old, Teddy the Fourth, and he gives you a hug and tells you he loves you. You know what? Again, all the Red Bull in the world is not going to revigorate you and pick you up the way that's going to pick you up. So we're all together for the holidays. We're very, very blessed. And before we get into the fights and everything, all the good people and everybody in Saudi Arabia, they make it extra special. They put the best fights on. They put fights on. Turkey Al Sheikh's been putting fights on. We just couldn't get a year ago, and now we're getting them. But the best thing for me, and I know there'll be people out there and say, "Oh, they're paying you money, Teddy." You don't even know. You're assuming what they are and aren't doing. Of course, there's certain situations as far as business and financials go. But at this point, this was our 6th trip, me and my son. Yeah, Sam even went like this because he said, wow, I didn't realize it was that many. Ken, this is our 6th trip to Riyadh in the last year since all this stuff started over there. And at this point, where people point just to money, I'm not saying money obviously hasn't been part of the equation for everybody going over there initially. But at this point, you'd be kind of incorrect if you thought it was just money, because there's a relationship there. And again, a lot of people are cynical, and I don't blame you, but one thing I've lived my life with that I try to pride it is in being truthful. And even when it's sometimes uncomfortable to do that. And right now it's based, it's based on a relationship, probably more than anything else, that I like being around these people. They're very good to us and to my family. And again, I know people say, oh yeah, but what about this? What about? There's always a what about. There's always a what about in everything in life. Nothing is exactly as it seems or exactly as you would like it to be sometimes. But you got to take everything by what you feel is right and what makes you feel right. And those people, the people over there, the kids in the gym, the way they treat me and my family, it feels right. And it is right. And there is a feeling of mutual respect and a care for each other now that has been built over the last, actually it's a little over a year, it's the last 14 months now, because it started last October, and here it is in December, so it's about 14 months since these fights started over there. And there is we care about the people that have been good to us over there, and there's kids in the gym, they're building up a team of fighters over there that I've talked about on this show before, young Saudi fighters, and I've gotten close with them. I go over there, I give them little tips in the gym, I talk to them, I watch their progress. But from the first day when I met those kids over there, I was impressed. I wasn't impressed with the way they jabbed and the way that their footwork. They were learning. They were a work in progress. They still are, and they're getting good. They really are. They're getting good. But I was most impressed by the people they were. Some of the kids are 9 years old. Some of the kids are up to 19 years old, 20 years old. And they all looked me in the eye, they all shook my hand, and they all talked with respect and with just in a sincere, caring way, thanking me for coming over there, thanking me for the little bit of time, the couple hours I spent there, appreciating that on one of the first trips there, I tore up my knee, in the middle of the workout, before the workout even started, to be honest. I tore my MCL and my ACL, wound up needing reconstructive surgery, which I'm still rehabbing from. It takes a whole year, so it's only been about 8 months from that time. And so I'm still rehabbing. It's still not right, but, I'm rehabbing. I'm getting better. And they were so thankful that after I hurt my knee, I continued training for the rest of that session. And I finished what I said I would do, which was train them that day. Even though it started, the injury happened 10 minutes into the training. But instead of just not doing it, the rest of it, I finished. And then I came back the next day on crutches, and again, just lived up to my promise that I would train them 2 days in a row. And they appreciated that. Matter of fact, some of the things they said to me afterwards would bring tears to your eyes. So I'm just saying I don't need to explain to anybody why I do something. Obviously, I understand that. But I just want to explain that it is more than just what seems to be the obvious when it goes to Saudi Arabia right now and you're making these fights and the money is just crazy. I mean, the heavyweights in that fight with Fury and Usyk, one made 100 and plus million and the other made, 90 million. Insane. I don't know. Just crazy numbers. So there's of course, we know that. As Ken just said, it's crazy, it's insane, but it's unheard of before now. So that is different. And that is the reason why these fights are over there, a big reason why, obviously, all these fights are being made. But also, in the midst of doing this, Serhii Usyk is showing a passion for the sport, a care for the sport. He bought Ring magazine. He wants to further that magazine. He wants to bolster that magazine. He wants to make that magazine what it once was and bring it back up to that level of being the publication it was, the Bible of boxing, if you will. He wants to do that, and the sales were way off. And the sales are off on all magazines nowadays with the internet and everything. But in boxing, the sales were down. But he wants to rejuvenate that. He wants to use that as a platform to better promote the sport, to better promote the fighters, to better understand the sport. So, and other things that he's doing, all in concert with trying to make the sport better. So there's money there, but there's also a care for what he's doing. I don't think you could do something at this level. Really, Ken. I don't think you could. I mean, you couldn't run at the level you run at, a high level, if you didn't really have a passion. No matter what it did for you, no matter what sponsors it might bring, what attention it might bring to you.
No, you could never train like this for money. Nothing would do this other than a deep passion, like you said. No amount of money would make me train like this. You couldn't pay me enough.
I know how it's 24/7 with you, and you couldn't do it without that passion, without that that care for it. And it's the same thing with what's going on here. So I just want to say that again. People can roll their eyes. People can say what they want. They're going to say that. Some people, I wish you would educate yourself before you say some things, really. Like, I don't see many of the comments. I've made that pretty public. I am a caveman. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed to say I don't, I'm a late comer to the internet, and I still don't know how to really get on it, but I don't need it because I have good people around me.
Those people are a small minority and not even worth the time of addressing the negative haters. There's
right.
Very few. They're just loud. There's many more people that support. 300,000 people subscribe to the show. I wouldn't even waste your breath on those idiots.
You're right. You're 100% right. The one thing I was going to bring up is I don't see the comments too often. Once in a while, my son will show them to me. You guys will show them to me. I see them once in a while. But when I do, like, I think it was the last week or so, one of them knocked me for saying that, which fight was it? It was a fight that the count was real fast. It was last week. Oh, it was McGregor. McGregor got knocked out. Surprise. I break it all down. I say, look, the count was fast. Whatever the reason, maybe the ref don't know how to count in English, Spanish. Maybe he doesn't know how to count, period. I don't know. But he skipped through the count. He counted too fast, and it definitely was a fast count, and McGregor definitely beat it. But it didn't matter. And I said it. I said it clear. It didn't matter because McGregor was gone. If the fight went on, he might have got hurt. He was gone, and he didn't argue it because he was gone. So it really became a moot point. But can you believe it, Ken? I know you can, unfortunately. But there was one comment, and then I stopped. It stopped. See, you bad guys, you guys that just aren't that bright maybe, or you don't listen properly, you don't take the cotton out of your ear, you don't clean your ears like your mom tried to teach you with Q-tips when you were young. Just clean them. Clean that wax, that yellow stuff. Take it out of it's good to get out of your ear. It's not good in your ear. And he actually made a comment saying, Teddy, he couldn't continue anyway. Why you, Teddy? He was knocked out. He was done anyway. I think I said that. I think I said it succinctly. I think I said it very much in English. Maybe you didn't speak English. I don't know. But I said he couldn't connect. Oh, but Teddy, you're saying that, but, why don't you look at the fight? Do you look at the fight, Teddy? He couldn't continue. Oh, my God. Like, are you just trying to... Did you drink too much eggnog? I mean, are you always this way? Are you always this incoherent when it comes to things that should be pretty clear if you just listen that I did say that? But anyway, that just makes me like, and I know it's wrong, but it just makes me say I'm not going to look at any others because if he's a reflection, which he's not, but if he's a reflection of other people, I don't even want to read any of them then. I mean, if you can't take the time to listen to the show and know before you make a comment, say whatever you want. Say whatever you want. That is obviously that is your choice, and obviously always going to be your choice, and I want that. And you don't have to agree with me. I wouldn't agree with me sometimes if I listened afterwards, maybe. But at the end of the day, at least think before you say something. Be sure you're hearing it right.
Hey guys, quick break to thank our newest sponsor, ZBiotics. We have the holidays coming up, which for many of us, myself included, it might mean we might have a couple of glasses of wine or drinks with family or friends out at dinner. Normally, I feel pretty terrible the next day with just 2 or 3 drinks. That's where ZBiotics has been a lifesaver. ZBiotics is a pre-alcohol probiotic. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to help you with rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets turned into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember, you drink ZBiotics before a night of drinking, Obviously, drink responsibly, everybody, please. But when you have Z-Biotics before you're out having some drinks with friends and family, it really makes a difference. I'm a big fan. This stuff works. Give it a try yourself. With the holiday season upon us, I know I'm going to be consuming a little bit more alcohol than usual. With Z-Biotics, I can stay on track and not let the season throw me off course. Go to zbiotics.com/Atlas to learn more about the 15% off your first order when you use Atlas at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Atlas and use the code Atlas at checkout for 15% off.
I just want to say that part of the experience, besides the great fights, and I made a lot of posts, and the post got over 1 million views. Over 1 million views. It might have been 2 million views with the post that my son put up on different things. So I appreciate all that. And one of my said, I said, look, I know why I'm here. I'm here for the big fight. But I know why I'm extra happy to be here. I'm extra happy to be here because of the love I feel from these kids in the gym. And I put up a little video, my son put up a little video of me working with the kids in the gym. That's what makes me happy. The other thing is the reason I'm there, but that is really also the reason why it's easy to continue going back, even if there is no money given. And again, you guys don't even know the whole story, but even if there's no money given on all these trips, and believe me, it's not what you think it is always. I'm still happy to go because of that feeling that I have with these kids and with the people that, whether it's Youssef, whether it's Sultan at the gym, whether it's Ali, whether it's James, whether it's Spencer Brown, whether it's Turkey Al-Sheikh himself, whether it's just all these good, Abdullah who just took care of us over there, all of these good people that make us feel, they just make us feel good. Who wouldn't want to go somewhere when people make you feel good, when people treat you good? Who wouldn't want to be around that?
Where'd you stay?
What the heck was the name? Beautiful place, beautiful hotel. Sam, do me a favor, ask Teddy so I don't say the wrong. I don't know why I'll probably remember it while you're going to ask him. But it was a beautiful hotel. Trying to remember the name. Yeah, I'm getting old, guys. I guess I'm getting old. Maybe I could blame it on jet lag. You know, I don't like to use excuses. I'm going to use that excuse. Jet lag, I can't remember. It's in the tip of my mind. But the problem is my mind is only a tip. My mind used to be a little larger than it is today. Anyway, while I'm waiting for the answer from my son who's downstairs, I'll just finish up with that. And then I'll say this. We have, and I'm going to ask you to say something. We have a special announcement to be made. First of all, I want to thank all the people. You know how I just thanked everyone in Saudi Arabia, Ken? I want to thank all. The Mandarin Oriental.
Oh,
Ken.
damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's the real deal.
It's so nice. And look.
That's as nice as it gets.
But you know what? And I don't want to be corny, but it is sincere. So if I'm corny, I'm sincerely corny. Does that make sense, Ken? Because that old saying, it's not a house that makes a home. It's the people that make a home, out of a house. The house could be the most gorgeous house in the world and the most luxurious house in the world. But it's the people, it's the love in the people and the love emanated from those people that makes a home. And yeah, the Oriental, Mandarin Oriental, it's gorgeous.
Oh, that's as nice as it gets, like the Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton.
Again, it's the people when you get there, when you get to the airport, and they greet you with flowers, and they hug you, and they tell you, welcome back, our brother. And they sincerely in their face. You know, you could lie. Your words can lie, but your eyes can't lie. Your eyes don't lie. Just the body language, the eyes. There's always a truth to that. The words can be whatever. They can be misdirected and placed or properly misplaced by some people, but not the eyes. And when they look at you and tell you, We're happy. We are happy because you're back. You know that they're telling you something that they actually believe. And that is what makes the Mandarin Oriental or any other hotel the best in the world, to add it with that.
Yep.
And I must say, to your point, the greatest few people are going to get on me for this, but it's okay. I say what I want to say, and I live with it. But one of the best things about it, it's so many good things, but the best is the people. And all the people there that have been so good to us. But one of the greatest things about it is the toilet seats. They're heated.
Yep.
Ken, it's just something about when it's a little chill in the air. And even in Saudi Arabia in the desert, the weather's gotten cold at night there, at night.
Yeah.
It's beautiful during the day in the 70s now instead of 120. But when you say, and I'm not going to give you too much information. I'm not going to go too far. But when you sit on a toilet seat that's heated, there's something nice about that, Sam.
Yep.
There's just something nice about that. And the thing I want to finish and give it to Ken, as nice as the people have been to us over there, all of you, 313,000 subscribers and beyond, for 5 years, me and Ken and Rob and Sam, we have built something here. We have built, I always talk about with fighters, you have to build a foundation. And then once you build the foundation, you can add to it. And if you build a good foundation, you can add floors. But you can't add floors and get higher and then eventually try to get to a penthouse. And I think we all want to get to that in some way. You can't do any of that if you don't have a good foundation. Otherwise, it's all going to fall down. It might take a minute, it might take, 6 months, a year, but it's going to fall down. But when you make a good foundation, it will stand, and you can add to it.
That's right.
We, over the last 5 years, we have built a good foundation. We have built, I joke with the fans sometimes, you frustrate me a little bit, but just like I said about the Saudi people, I love yous. I appreciate yous. I know it's genuine. I know it's not. And I know that for you people to be with us day in and day out, that's genuine. That's care. That's love. That's a form of whatever you want to call it, but all good things, respect and trust. And I appreciate somebody trusting me and trusting us, because trust is not easy. It's got to be earned. And I appreciate that, and I never want to lose it. And that's why I will say things that sometimes people won't like all the time, because I'm saying what I believe. And I feel that as long as I say what I believe, I'll be okay. At the end of the day, some people might just say, I don't want to hear it no more. Okay. But in order to be successful at anything, you have to be honest.
Yep.
You have to know what you're doing. You have to be honest. And you have to be consistent. And I feel as long as I'm consistent, saying what I believe, and standing by what I believe and backing up what I believe and why I believe in it, at the end of the day, I'm going to be satisfied with that. And whatever that brings me to, it'll bring me to. And so far, it's brought us to having 313,000 a year that is subscribed. But like with all things, what's that old saying? All good things come to an end.
Yep.
But sometimes it's not an end. It's a new beginning.
That's right.
And I just want to, I'm going to give it to Ken in a minute, but I just want to say that we're going to make a transition after the new year, and the perfect timing for it, because it's the new year coming up. And with the new year, you have resolutions, you have change, you have things that are happening for the first time. And so the timing of it, I think, is proper, if it's going to happen. And after 5 years of building this, we're going to make a transition, we're going to make a change where Ken is going to go on to do other things that he's been working on, that he's doing. And I'm going to move forward with my son taking the place of Ken for now, and hopefully for ongoing. But for now, Sam's going to stay on board, Rob's going to stay on board to make sure that the transition is as seamless as possible for whatever amount of time that takes to do it. But we are going to go forward. And again, for no reason but other than positive reasons, that it's time for Ken, in his life with all the things going on in his life. It's time for that change, I think, now. Our goal is to get to 1 million subscribers. I appreciate all of you. Our goal is to get to that. Our goal is to start to do other things with the show, to do things that my son has a plan for, things and Sam has a plan for, things like doing, which we did, what was it, a month ago now, a month and a half ago, we tested the waters with it a little bit, doing live streaming of fights like we did for the Tyson Jake Paul fight. We got 700,000 views. We didn't even have time. We did it in, like, with the help of Rob and my son and everybody. We did it in, like, seriously, we did it in like 48 hours, and we still got 700,000 views. We want to do more of that. We want to do more of that type stuff. We want to do more stuff in different areas, with more guests, with more stuff, even doing specials in the gyms, where we go to the gyms and I work with some of the UFC fighters. I work with some of the boxing guys in the gym. We do interviews. We do some interactive stuff with training. But we just want to add more dimensions to it to grow the show. And that's what we're going to do. This will be the last show for now with Ken. I appreciate you. I appreciate Rob. Rob's going to stay on us in a way that I just said. I appreciate you guys. I have deep care for you and for your families. I think I've shown that. I hope I've shown that. I hope that has been clear and understanding to everybody. I really do, because it means a lot to me. And I give the floor to you now, Ken.
Yep. So thank you, Teddy. Today is mixed emotions. I'm excited about the things I have working on, but it's a sad day to say goodbye to you and Rob, and especially the fans. But I really appreciate you and Rob for believing in me in the early days and letting me come and do this show with you. It's been a huge honor, and thanks to the fans for embracing me in the boxing community. It's been a dream come true. But like you said, I've just, with the 4 kids and some of the stuff I have going on professionally, I'm starting a new marketing and management agency, and it's taken up a ton of my time. I'm also working on a book about my journey from addiction to a marathon world champion. And all of that stuff just takes so much time that it wouldn't be fair to not give the show everything it deserves. And also, I think Teddy, working with you for the fans, having the fans see a father-son duo, obviously with Teddy's experience as a scout in the NFL for so many years, I think he's just got a good knack for recognizing talent, identifying what's going on in the fights, and obviously growing up in the house with you, just has a wealth of boxing knowledge. And I'm excited to see what you guys do with the show from here, but it's been a huge honor and privilege to be part of this journey with you. And again, I thank you and Rob and the team and everyone for supporting me for the last 5+ years, whatever it's been. It's been an incredible experience for me, so thank you.
No, my pleasure, and I'm glad. I'm glad for everything this show has done for you. It's highlighted. It's brought a light to you that wasn't there before, even though you were always doing things with the marathon world, but it brought a light to your accomplishments and gave you a chance for everybody to see it and to be better known in other dimensions,
sure.
And help lead to the things that are now available to you because of the light that this show brought to you and the recognition that it brought to you. So I'm happy for that. I'm happy anytime I can help somebody. And I'm also happy when, by helping people, it also is a thing that makes me feel good in the relationship that I gain from it. Because anytime you gain relationships of people that you care about, it adds to your life. It makes your life a little better. It really does. I told the kids over in Saudi Arabia, thank you, because they were all thanking me. They were thanking me for coming over there, for bringing them a little gift. I brought them some posters of fighters, little things just that, and spend time with them. And they thanked me. And at the end, I said to them, thank you. And they're wondering why I'm thanking them. And I said, thank you. Thank you for being the people you are, for making me and my son feel the way you make us feel, and for restoring my faith in people. That there are there are more good people than bad people in the world. You forget that sometimes in this hard world. You really do. You can forget it really fast. You see the crime, you see the violence, you see the terrible things people do to people, and you start to get worried about your grandchildren. What kind of world are they going to inherit? And then I go over there all the way across the world, and I see good people, and I say, we're going to be okay. There's more good people than bad. And I say the same thing to you and to Rob, that thank you for letting me bring a couple more good people into my life. Thank you.
Well, let's get right into the fights in Saudi Arabia, because there's a lot to cover there, and it's the week of Christmas. It's Christmas Eve day, and I'm sure the fans are dying to hear your thoughts on the fight, but also dying to get to their Christmas celebration. So let's start with Isaac Lowe loses a unanimous decision to Lee McGregor. How'd you like that fight? What were your takeaways?
Well, fights are won or lost in the geography of the ring. Who fights in the turf, the area, the real estate that makes sense for their abilities? Who fights there more? Who is consistent in that geography more? That's McGregor. That's why he won. Both tough guys, well-matched fight. Lowe looking to get in, McGregor looking to box. McGregor fought in spots inside, but for the most part, it was Lowe looking to be the man with the plan to be in close. And McGregor, the man with the plan to counterpunch, to use his legs, to jab, to own the outside. And for the most part, McGregor owned the outside. That's how he won the fight. Counterpunching, moving, using his jab, keeping separation, handling himself on the inside when he had to. Lowe made a run a little bit late where after McGregor had controlled a bunch of rounds by jabbing and counterpunching and having his turf, as I said, on the outside, Lowe got inside, got his turf, kept his hands free, did some good work. But on the whole, it was McGregor owning the territory he needed to own for the most part. And part of it was McGregor wouldn't let Lowe really own the inside. He would tie him up. He would grab him when he had to on the inside because he understood what he needed to be and what he needed not to be. He needed to be an outside fighter, not a guy letting Lowe do his work on the inside. Lowe did not help himself from the midway point on. I don't remember exactly what rounds it started, Ken, but he started losing his mouthpiece. Oh, my God. He must have lost it 7 times. I lost count, Ken.
It's so crazy when that happens. I'm like, didn't you wear this in sparring? Was this it almost feels like it has to be intentional, because
sometimes
if you've sparred dozens and dozens of rounds, if you're losing your mouthpiece, get it fixed. But
sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes it's breathing. Their nose is clogged. They can't breathe properly. They're losing their breath. Whatever. But to your point,
I always think of Diego Corrales when it comes to mouthpieces and strategery, as George W. Bush would say. Just taking that mouthpiece out at the right time. He saved him. Won the fight for him. He's like, I don't care about losing points. I care about winning this fight, and I need a break. And taking it out was just brilliant.
Some people would say, to your words, Ken, it wasn't brilliant, it was cheating. It was wrong. He spit his mouthpiece out.
He lost a point for it. I don't know that where you disqualify a guy for doing it the first warning.
No, and he got a pit. I think he did it twice.
Yeah.
I think he did it twice, but he got a pit stop.
2 or 3 times, but he gave him a warning, took a point, and then he was like, all right, I'm not going to do it again. Now I got to go. But it was unbelievable.
It restored him. It was in the Castillo fight, one of the great fights ever.
Oh,
and
incredible.
For Teddy Atlas to say that, one of the greatest fights ever.
Oh, one of my favorites, for sure.
Up there with Ward and Gaddy, up there with so many back in the day, with Bobby Chacon and Bazooka Lamone and Boza Edwards and Matthew Saad Muhammad and Jerry the Bull Martin and Yaki Lopez, and I could go on and on and on and on. So many great fights. But that is up there in the echelon of some of the greatest fights of all time. But it did save him. It did save Corrales in that moment. He came back, and still give him credit. He came back from being beaten down by Castillo. He came back, and then he wound up knocking out Castillo. It was incredible. But
Ref definitely could have stopped the fight multiple times, I thought.
He could have. The referee is part of great fights too. Anytime you have a great fight, you usually had a great ref, because the referee becomes part of that history. Because if they stop it too soon, you don't have a great fight.
Same thing with Gotti Ward in round 9. Ref
100%.
could have, Cappuccino could have stopped that fight. Matter of fact, I think that Mickey thought he did stop the fight, and he's like, no, fight's not over. And he was like, oh.
You're right. It threw them off a little bit, because it's hard to in a fight like that to stop the engine and restart it. It's hard mentally, emotionally, and physically to do that. So that was a little bit of that became another little bump in the road for Mickey to get through. But he got through it. The great ones get through it. But that made it a little harder to stop the rhythm of the fight the way it was and then start it again. But at the same time, really, referees are part of great fights, and judges too. You hope they get it right. But because you don't want to stop it too late. I get it. You don't. But if a guy don't have trust in himself and his judgment, and he stops it too soon, it could ruin one of the great fights, as we just said. But this fight, Lowe, I don't know if it was 6 or 7 times, but he lost his mouthpiece an inordinate amount of times. Like I said, I don't have a mouthpiece counter. Ken, I might have to get one. And for Christmas, get me one if you don't mind. For Christmas, if you want to get me, instead of a tie. I don't need a tie. I got enough ties. But I need a mouthpiece counter. And I don't, all I know is he finally got a point taken away. Then he got another point taken away. I think it was the 9th or 10th round. I'm not sure. Maybe it was the 9th. It could have been the 10th, where he spit it, where he lost it again, not once, but 2 or 3 times. And here's the funny thing. In the late round, whether it was the 10th or 9th, whatever round it was, when he lost the mouthpiece again, then the referee took another point. He lost it the second time. He took another point away. So that was 2 points he lost, which was really, in a tough fight, was destroying him. So he lost 2 points for losing his mouthpiece low. And then in that last round that, he had that second point taken away. He lost it a third time, believe it or not. And you know what? It stayed on the floor. You know why, Ken? I'm going to tell you my observation. It never got picked up. It got retrieved. It's supposed to be retrieved by the ref. They got to see it, of course. But it's got to be retrieved, washed out, put back in. Then the referee takes a point away, or he tells you keep it in, whatever he does. He already had taken a point away. He had already taken a point away earlier in the fight for losing the mouthpiece. At that point, late stage, I don't think the referee wanted to see the mouthpiece was lost for the 3rd time in that late round. I really don't. Right. I really don't. Because if he did, he would have almost been forced to disqualify him. I mean, what are you going to do? Take a 3rd point away? I think at that point, and then take 2 points away in one round.
You have to disqualify him after 2 points. You have to.
Yeah. I mean, that's the rule. So you'd have to. I mean, he'd be up against a rock and a hard place, the ref, that he'd have to disqualify him. So I think he did the right thing, to be honest. But I do think that it was purposeful. I do, and nobody else is going to point this out, but I do believe that the referee left that mouthpiece on the floor like he didn't see it, purposely, so he wouldn't be forced to DQ Lowe, who fought a tough fight. They both fought a tough fight. McGregor outboxed him, and he won 96-92, 97-91, 97-91. Some of those were farther apart because of the points taken away. Let's get to the next one.
Next up, Johnny Fisher beats David Allen, runs his record to 15-0. 2 former sparring partners, 2 UK guys. I think they had a pretty close relationship. It was great fight, 2 big men. What'd you think?
I thought that boxing can't help itself. Even on a great card, great main event, historic, fights over there. The first time Fury and Usyk fought, it was the first time for the undisputed, unified all the belts in 25 years. They do the rematch. Of course, now Dubois got one of the belts, the IBF. They do the rematch for the other belts between Usyk and Fury. Another great fight, but boxing can't help itself. Like the late, great Bert Sugar, a close friend of mine, used to say, boxing has given itself so many black eyes, it's now the Cyclops. It can't, it can't help itself. It can't get out of its own way. The fighters are great. The fighters are pure. The sport is pure. The pureness of the sport, two men getting in there, finding out who's the better man, who can go to a place that they've never been to before, who can go through the fire and still be there, still be standing. You know, they teach us. They're explorers. I've said it before. They explore territory that we don't ourselves know we can go to. And they go to those new places, those newfound lands where they do things that we just look and we say, oh my God, did you see what he did? And it reminds us we can do more things. We can go to further places. We can go to places we've never been before. If we dare to go there, we can go there. We can go into rooms that are dark and put lights on. And that's the greatness of my sport, of this sport, a sport I've been in 50 years, a sport of that all these people that listen to this program love. That's the greatness of it. But the fighters, the purity of what they do, mano a mano. But what is not pure, what is not great, is what the administrators, the so-called the watchers of this, the so-called protectors of the sport, they are destroying the sport. Another bad decision, horrible decision, horrible, and it's horrible. Just before Christmas, you're making me do this again. You're making me have to say, because someone's got to defend these fighters. Someone's got to try to make it right. Someone's got to, I know there's others doing it too, not just me. But I have to do my part. I have a platform. I have a pretty big platform. I had it at ESPN. I used it for that. That somebody has to get up there and yell and say, it's wrong. Stop it. You're hurting fighters. You're hurting the sport. You're chasing people away from the sport. You're taking away from the integrity of the sport, the credibility of the sport. Stop it. Stop it. Get rid of these judges that do that. Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. The way other people are held accountable for things they do wrong in their jobs. Hold these people. Don't let them work again the following week. Really. And it was just hard. And like Cus D'Amato said, Teddy, it's either incompetence or it's corruption. But it's hard to believe anyone could be this incompetent. It's hard to believe that. The decision to, I know he's undefeated. I know he's the house fighter. Fisher is now 12-0 with 11 knockouts. Allen is now 23-6-2 with 15 KO, 4 KOs. I'm sorry, 18 KOs. I'm sorry. I think it's 18. What was it? I'm not sure. I think it's 18 KOs. Whatever it is. Yeah, 18 KOs. He's been stopped 4 times. He's 23-6-2. He's an experienced, tough guy. And Fisher is an undefeated kid. He's being built up. They're building him up. They stepped him up a little bit in this fight, and the step was too much. It was a little too much. I mean, he's going to learn a lot from it. He's going to get better from it. He survived it. He showed great heart, Fisher. Great heart. Great heart. So did Allen. Great heart, Fisher. He got off the floor. He was hurt. He was beaten up in the 5th round. He got dropped. I think it was the 5th round. He was beaten up. The next round, he got beaten up. The next round, he got beaten up. But he kept fighting back. He's raw. He's not polished. He needs work. Fisher needs a lot of work. He's raw. He's green behind the ears. He's got to learn certain things. He's got to get more polished, more developed. There's no doubt about it. But he has something that you can't teach somebody. He's got heart. He's got great heart. And he's got durability. He's got resiliency. He's got the traits that it takes to beat somebody. He's got those traits. He just has to develop and learn. And again, They thought it was the right time. He was 11-0 with 11 knockouts. Now he's 12-0 with 11 knockouts. They thought it was the right time. Step him up a little bit against Allen, who who did have losses, who had been stopped. He's also got 2 draws. Again, Allen is 23-6-2. But Allen's a tough, rugged guy who's experienced. He used that experience. He got on the inside. He does little things that you think he's just a caveman too. That the other guy, Fisher, is not developed to do certain subtle things. Allen he's right in your face. They both are. But little subtle things that you have to have a boxing eye to notice. The Allen on the inside, pushing, just leaning his weight on Fisher, making it hard for him to get off, pushing him back a little bit, putting his head on his chest, and then all of a sudden pulling him forward. Like I say, be in the ocean with the log. Push the log forward, pull the log backwards. Be the ocean. Allen was being the ocean. He was pushing him back where he couldn't get set. Then he would pull him forward, take a little step back and walk him into punches, let him fall into punches, give himself room to punch. Just those, again, those little subtle things that an experienced fighter does. He dropped him in the 5th round. Yes, it was the 5th round. Fisher was almost out. He showed great heart, as they said. He was able to come back, but he was still. He survived. He took punishment in the 6th. Took punishment, throughout the fight. I mean, it should have been a pretty one-sided fight. I mean, there were early rounds where Fisher, being a little more dimensional, was able to box on the outside and do a couple things and win some rounds. But down the stretch, it really was. It was Allen from the middle point from the 5th round on, where he was just cleaning house with him. Again, it was a tribute to the toughness of Fisher that he even was able to survive. I just want to see, like I said, the little subtle things. He let Fisher fall into punches. Then he steps forward, pushes him back where he can't punch. Just doing those little things that Fisher, I'm sure, is going to learn from. I'm sure he's going to be a better fighter. Listen, this is how bad it was, Ken. You ready?
Yeah.
Maybe you pick it up on the internet if you can. My son told me this, and I'm glad he did. Just to show you, how often does a bookmaker pay you on a loss? Have you ever heard that they do that? Have you ever heard that? I've heard it once or twice, but it's very rare that a bookmaker will show that kind of character, that kind of honesty, whatever you want to call it. I know there's honest bookmakers, don't get me wrong. I know that. But it's business. It's business. Win or lose. Whatever that decision is, they pay or they don't pay according to that decision. Am I right, Ken? Am I right with that?
That's it.
These bookmakers, this betting parlor, whichever one it was, my son told me the next day when we were getting on the plane, they were paying off the bets on Allen. If you had Allen and you bet Allen and Allen lost, he lost the decision, you got paid. Now, if that doesn't speak to how bad a robbery, what an injustice it was, why Teddy Atlas is railing about it, taking time on this show that's about Fury and Usyk, why I'm doing that, then your head is up in the clouds somewhere. You're living somewhere where you just don't care about things that you should care about. Right is right, wrong is wrong. I have to say something. The betting parlor paid on a ticket if you had Allen. You got paid because they themselves saw how terrible and unjust this decision was. And there was an interview my son showed me, Ken, where they interviewed them afterwards. They said, do you want a rematch right away? And you know what Allen said? He's a real fighter. So was Fisher. I give him credit. They were all busted up. They had cuts. They were all bruised up. And what does Allen say? Allen says, I don't think it's in the best interest. They're friends, like you said, Ken. They have respect for each other. Allen says, I've never heard this from someone this, really, it was a very good interview and very eye-opening and refreshing. Allen says, I don't think it's in the best interest of Fisher to fight me right away. I think he needs more fights. I think he needs a few more fights. Let the fight become bigger. There'll be more money involved. Very honest. There'll be more money in the fight. People want to see it. But let him improve. Let him get a few. It was a tough fight for both of us. It takes a lot out of it. Like I always say, fighters leave parts of themselves in the ring when they're in a tough fight. He said it was a tough fight for both of us. Takes a lot out of us. I think Fisher needs more experience. I think he needs to develop a little bit more. Let him get a few more fights. And then we can fight. Then we can fight again. What a breath of fresh air. I know a lot of people say, Teddy, that's not fresh air. That's Allen just backing himself a little bit, saying that that he's better than Fisher. He won the fight. Fisher's not ready. No, he was being very honest. And he was saying it right in front of Fisher. He was being very honest. He was saying, look, I'll fight now, but I think it'd be better if he gets a few more fights. And also the financial side. He was honest about that. If we could make it a little bit of a bigger fight. Fisher agreed with him. Fisher said, yeah, I think I get a few more fights and then we'll fight the rematch. I think a few more fights will be good for me. And it will be. And if his people are smart, and I know he's got smart people around him, then let him get a couple more fights and then let them fight a rematch if that's in the cards. The fight will make Fisher better. He's lucky he's got an undefeated record now because without that bad decision, he will now be 11-1, and probably got stopped. He would have probably got stopped. No, not stopped. I'm sorry. He didn't get stopped because he wouldn't allow himself to get stopped. He stood on his feet. He didn't allow himself to get to that place of being stopped. He showed great courage. Courage of a champion possibly in his future, but he needs a lot of work. What I meant to say and was trying to say is if it wasn't for the bad judging, he'd now be 11-1 instead of 12-0. But horrible. But did you find it on the internet that betting parlor that I want to give credit to that betting parlor. Really, that's a place if you have to bet besides my bookie, go to my bookie and go to this place that they have enough honesty and integrity to actually pay people if they bet Allen, even though the judges took it away from him.
Paddy Power, Paddy Power. I believe it's a Ireland-based website. Yeah, Irish bookie Paddy Power announced they would pay out for those who had bets on Dave Allen in light of the shocking decisions on the judges' scorecards.
Good for them. Good for them.
Tell you what, you'd be pretty happy if you had David Allen and you lost that decision and they paid you anyway. That's a pretty good move from a betting parlor. You never hear about that.
No. And I got to be honest, Ken. When people are bad, I tell them. And when they're good, I make sure I tell people that too. And the betting parlors over there in Ireland, they've done, and maybe in England too, but in Ireland, they've done it before.
Yeah.
I've heard at least on one other occasion where on a bad decision, they paid off the loser on a bad decision. So I give credit to them. I really do. I give credit. And it's smart business because when you show yourself to be of that ilk, of that level of honesty and integrity, they could trust you. And when people trust you, they're going to stay with you. They're gonna say, you know what? If I have to bet, I'm gonna bet here. I ain't gonna bet nowhere else. I'm gonna bet at this place that did the right thing. So I think it was good business. But you know what it really was for those people you just said that thought that they lost. They had the ticket for Allen. They thought they lost. The next day they found out that they actually won. It's called an early Christmas present. That's an early Christmas present. It really is. That is an early Christmas present. But you know what I hope did not happen, Ken?
What's that?
You know what I hope did not happen? And it could have happened. I hope they didn't throw the ticket in the garbage.
That's true.
Right?
I think when you make those online bets, though, I don't think you need the physical ticket. I think they just credit your account.
How about if you went in there?
No, if you went in a casino, that might be a different story.
I mean, those booking parlors, those betting parlors are in Ireland. I've been there. You can walk in there in England too, but I've been there. If you walked in there, just like Las Vegas, and you put your money down and they gave you a ticket, they punched the ticket out, you got that ticket. You got to have that ticket to collect.
That's right, of course.
So I hope. Listen, I hope that I'm glad you got an early Christmas present. You people that got that properly treated, where that would have been a loss became what it should have been, a win. But I just hope you didn't throw it in the garbage. All right, what's the next fight?
Next up, Serhii Bohachuk puts it on Israel Davis in a big way, beats him down for 6 straight rounds. The corner eventually stops it. Worth noting, though, that the Britain fighter Davis stepped in on a short 2 weeks notice after Israel Madrimov, the Ukrainian, had to withdraw from the fight with acute bronchitis. So credit to Davis for stepping up, but my God, was he outgunned, outboxed, and just beat up badly. Corner eventually waved it off at the culmination of the 6th round, and it couldn't come soon enough. Incredible performance from Bohachuk, but again, 2 weeks notice. I mean, even the guys that stay ready, 2 weeks is not a lot of time to prepare for a guy as good as Bohachuk.
No, it was a 154-pound, 12-round WBC title eliminator. So, important spot. And listen, the original fight was pronounce his name for me.
Madrimov.
Yeah, Madrimov pulled out with bronchitis.
Who's a really good fighter.
Yeah,
Madrimov is tough as hell.
Yeah, which he proved against
Crawford
in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
He proved that.
Shocked a lot of people.
Even though he's got a short amount of fights, he had 300 amateur fights. He's a champion. He lost the title to the great Crawford, but it was a competitive fight. That would have been a hell of a fight. But here's the thing. And again, I pride myself in this show, Ken, that we've done for 5 years, and where it's the CAT scan. It's the CAT scan of boxing shows where we go deep. And we don't just show the x-ray. We go and we show the tissue, the connecting tissue. You know, all of the stuff that an x-ray sometimes quickly doesn't show. And I'm not in any way, and I make sure I make this clear, accusing anyone or saying or calling anyone, to be not telling the truth. I'm sure that Madrimov was sick. But they say they're sick. The man fights honest. He lives on. He's a serious man. He's a man that showed how serious he was in the ring with Crawford. So I have no reason to doubt that he was sick. All I can tell you is this. He was supposed to fight a couple months later, which he's gonna, against a very tough opponent named Virgil Ortiz, right?
Yep.
Who's undefeated. Who Bohachuk just lost a very, not only close fight, a highly contested fight. Bohachuk lost to Virgil Ortiz. It was the first time that Ortiz did not score a knockout in his career, I believe, and Bohachuk went the distance. So I thought it was really hard to even believe that Madrimov was going to fight a fight with Bohachuk, which just figured to be a tough fight because of what Bohachuk is. And then he was going to fight what? What is it? 2 months later? I don't have the date in front of me. But like 2 months later, he was going to fight again against Ortiz. I remember when that was first announced, I said, you know what? I'll be shocked if this fight happens. It turns out he got sick. Okay, that fight didn't happen. Davis stepped in. He's 13-1. Bohachuk's 24-2. 23 knockouts.
Teddy, one thing that's worth mentioning is when you push your body like that, I've done this myself, when you try to get too much high-intensity training in a short period of time, immune system gets compromised, you're probably not taking your athletic greens, all joking aside, and you're really susceptible to illness. So I've seen this happen to myself, and I've seen it happen to athletes, so I tend to give this guy the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, he got sick, because I'm sure that was a big payday.
No, there's no way that I think that I'm calling him a liar. No way. But here's what I'm going to do. The fight didn't make sense.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to take a fight against a guy of the level of Bohachuk 2 months before a career fight against Virtual Ortiz.
Correct.
Where you know it's going to be it didn't make sense. And you know what you just said, it didn't make sense. So, and the reason it didn't make sense was you were putting two close, tough fights too close together. So, at the end of the day, it didn't happen because it didn't make sense. For whatever. It didn't happen because it didn't make, because to your point, if he was trying, I guess he was, trying to fight and trying to get ready and fight in high altitude, whatever he was doing, and back to back after coming off, after, trying to do 2 fights in a row, knowing that he's going to have 2 tough training camps in a row, whatever. Maybe it was too much for the body. I don't know. I mean, the only thing that I have trouble with your theory a little bit, Ken, is this. He had a little time since the Crawford fight. His body was rested. He had time. Then he was going to go into training for this. Yeah, maybe it was too soon. Maybe it was too soon because if he wasn't going to fight this fight against Bohachuk, he would have had another 2 months before the fight with Virgil Ortiz. That would have gave him a little more time to start camp. So maybe he did start camp a little too soon. A little too soon and not far enough away from the Crawford camp. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. That's a good point. At the end of the day, it wasn't meant to be. To have 2 fights of that caliber that close. Just wasn't meant to be. And Davis, to his credit, I want to give him credit. He takes the fight on 2 weeks' notice. He's a switch hitter. He fights mostly southpaw, but he switches southpaw and orthodox. He's a strong physical guy. He's a game as they come. As game as they get. And he fought so game. So game. But Bohachuk is a machine. I know there's a couple guys out there named the Machine. Bohachuk is a machine. I mean, this guy does not stop punching. He comes forward. He just keeps punching, and his punches are straight, concise. They're on target. There's no fat in between. It's hard to counter in between them. You know, you could counter after he's done because sometimes he'll stand there for a split second. You could counter right back or you could time him in the middle. But it's hard to time it in between a punch. Like some guys throw a left hook too wide. You could beat him with a right hand inside it. This guy doesn't throw anything wide. He puts pressure on, good pressure. You know, you see a flame, Ken, but when you see a pure flame, what do you see? You see nothing. You see blue. When you see another flame, you see red, orange. But when you see a real intense, pure flame, sometimes it's just blue. Bohachuk is a blue flame. There's nothing fat. There's no orange. There's no red. That's that's the way I like to hopefully give to the fans the differentiation of a guy just throwing punches and a guy throwing punches the right way, always. His fight punches are the right way. He has a blue flame. The fight was in close the whole time. He dropped Davis in the second round with a left hook. He dropped him because they were in a clinch, actually. You don't see this too often, Ken. They were in a clinch, but when you clinch, there's an art to everything in boxing.
Yep.
There's an art to clinching. And Davis didn't tie him up quite right. And Bohachuk wiggled his way free. There was still a little looseness. If you're going to clinch somebody, there should be no looseness. He should be tied up like he's in handcuffs. He shouldn't be able to get loose. That's why you're clinching, so he can't punch. It wasn't quite strong enough clinch. And he got a little loose, and he threw a short left hook in the clinch inside. And he dropped Davis with that. He just kept punching. As you said, the corner finally at the end of the sixth round, the Davis corner did the right thing. They did the compassionate thing. They stopped the fight. So Bohachuk now is he's in a driver's seat now. He just won the WBC title eliminator, and he deserves it. And a lot of the fans will concur with me, I think, and say some of them thought he won against Virgil Ortiz. I thought it was very close. I gave it to Ortiz, very close, very close. But some people say he got what he deserved now that he's got another shot for the title.
Yep. All right. In the co-main, Moses Itauma, devastating first-round knockout over McKean. He just looked awesome. Demsey, McKean. Itauma looked incredible. He runs his record to 11-0 with 9 KOs. Just absolutely obliterated McKean. How'd you like it in person? What was the crowd reaction to that? What was the vibe after that first round stoppage?
No, I mean, he's a wonder kid. This is a wonder kid. He's the only heavyweight on the horizon that has his shot. I think he's got to do it, though, in the next 6 months.
Wow.
He's 19 years old. He's going to be 20 very soon, I believe. He's got a shot. I think he's going to be 20. Or maybe he just turned 20. I'm not sure. But he's either 19 or 20. He's young.
19 years old. He turns 20 on the 28th, so next week.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. He's 19 years. He's going to be 20. He's 19 right now. He's got a shot. I think there's a 6-month window. I'm not positive. But he's got a shot to break a record, to break Mike Tyson's record, who broke Floyd Patterson's record, to become, as soon as I said record, Sam looked up, to become, Sam likes records, to become the youngest heavyweight champ of all time. Mike Tyson broke Floyd Patterson's record 21 years and whatever amount of months, days. I don't remember what it was. But Mike Tyson has the record. He's got a chance, and he's got a great promoter, Frank Warren. He's got a chance to break Tyson's record and become the youngest heavyweight champ ever. He's only 11-0, though. Tyson had more fights. But Tyson was on that schedule fighting once a month. I mean, it was crazy. And he was knocking guys out left and right, but, you know, the right guys, too. Yeah, they all fight easy guys on the way up. They all do. But Tyson had more fights when he finally got in there with Trevor Berbick. I think Berbick was the first when he got the titles. He had more fights than Itauma has right now and would have unless he gets a few more. But he only has about 6 months to do it. I don't think they're going to rush it. It depends who's there. It depends, who's there. I mean, I don't think they're going to, he's not in position. He's not rated to be in position, nor would you want him to be ready to fight an Usyk right now. He needs more experience, he's got the talent, but he don't have the experience to fight an Usyk or to fight a Fury or to fight even with, of course, a Dubois. Dubois is a force to deal with because he's a new man, Dubois. He's a new man. He really is. He's got those couple losses where he gave in a little bit. He redeemed himself. He is a different man. He is a dangerous man, Dubois. But that's a discussion for another time. Itauma, you asked me how the crowd responded. He knocked out McKean, a southpaw who's 22-2. I believe he's now 22-2. He knocked him out in the first round. The crowd, the way they responded was a little bit in awe and a little bit in expectation of what this kid wonder is and could be, especially the fans from England that are following him and that came over there to back Fury. They're following this kid. They're looking at this kid as their next great heavyweight champ to represent, to come out of England. And they might be right. Ben Davidson is the trainer, the same guy who trains Joshua and a lot of other good fighters, doing a good job with him. You know what I like about him? His talent is inescapable. You got to start with that. He don't look like a guy's a big puncher until he hits you. He's got the power the old-timers would tell me, and Cus D'Amato would say to me, Teddy, this guy hit you on top of the head, he fractures your ankles. He's got that kind of, Sam's laughing, he likes it. He's got that kind of power. He don't look like it, but he has it. And he's got speed to go with it. But here's the best thing about him. He's calm. He's confident. He sees. He's got good eyes. His technique is solid. They've done a good job with him. You got to have good technique if you got talent because you want the technique to deliver that talent. You can have a Ferrari race car, but you have to have a good driver. Otherwise, what's the Ferrari going to do? Make a lot of noise, rev up the engine, burn a lot of rubber in the driveway? You have to have a driver to drive that all that horsepower. Same thing here. You got talent, but you got to have a driver. And his technique is the driver. His mind. I always say that to be a champion, you have to have that combination, especially if you're going to stay there. Maybe one night you get a little fortunate, you win, but you're not going to stay there unless you have that character, unless you have those other attributes that have to be part of the package. And part of it, besides the character, which is the most important part, you got to be cerebral. You got to be smart. He's shown me he's smart. He's got good technique. He's got great talent. He's got good eyes. He's smart. He's smart. He closes the gap. His feet. He don't look like a guy that... His hands are pretty quick, but his feet are quick. He closes the gap like a young, small Pacquiao, like a small version, like a heavyweight version of Pacquiao when he was young, where Pacquiao would close that gap so fast. Before you could blink an eye, he was on you, hitting you, and dropping you. He closed the gap, and that's how he did the first knockdown. He closed the gap, and he was smart. He blinded him with a throwaway right hook. The right hook was not really to land. It was to blind, to gain entrance, where he could get in on McKean. The right hook distracted McKean, and then a looping left hand hit him on the side of the head, towards the back of the head, and it dropped him. And he got up, he was discombobulated. He got himself together for a second, but he was hurt. It was similar. I mentioned that, that he wants to break Mike Tyson's record, and Mike Tyson, I thought, won his first title against Trevor Berbick when he unified when he unified the belts. But when he knocked out Trevor Berbick, Tyson sent a message. There's a new sheriff in town. There's a new king. A new king has been put on the throne. And because the way Trevor Berbick, when he got hit on the temple. He fell down. He tried to get up. He fell through the ropes. He fell into the photographers. He got up again. He fell sideways. He fell this way. He fell. I mean, that's a way to bring the curtain down. That's a way to announce to the world somebody new is here. Somebody spectacular is here. That's the way to do it. And that's the way Tyson did it. And that was reminiscent to me of Tyson power against Berbick, and showing that with Moses. When he knocked out McKean, now McKean's a guy who'd been stopped once before, but he got stopped in the 12th round against Hrgovic. Hrgovic was a top contender. He was undefeated. He's the one who lost, of course, got stopped by Dubois before Dubois got the Joshua fight and then knocked out Joshua. Hrgovic he was an undefeated fighter, a good, solid fighter. He stopped McKean in 12 rounds. Itauma, if you want to use that as a little bit of a thumbnail, if you want to, a little bit of a barometer of his power and the difference, he goes and stops him in 1 round. And again, it was reminiscent of what I saw with Tyson with Berbick. The way the punches affected McKean. He hit him with the looping left hand on the side of the head. He got up. He was discombobulated. He got it together, and then the referee let it go. And then the second knockdown, the one that was the knockout, was Itauma, who's also a southpaw. There was 2 southpaws in there. He set it up beautifully. He set up the power punch for the southpaw, the left hand, the backhand, where you can turn into it, get your back, get your legs into it. He set it up with a jab to the body. The southpaw right jab to the body, just to bring McKean's eyes down, to distract him, to get him to look low. And then he came high. He never saw the punch, hit him right on the chin, knocked him out. So good delivery system, good power, good delivery system, good technique, good brains, good eyes, good everything. He might become, who knows? I don't know that he's going to break Tyson's record, but he's in the running for it. He's in the running for it if they want to run that direction. But Frank Warren's a smart promoter. He'll go in the right direction. He'll go in the direction that gives him the experience, the development he needs to be ready, not to fight for the title, but to win the title when he finally does. Really impressive. A kid that they asked me, the Zone was interviewing me. Everybody was interviewing us on the red carpet on the way into the fight. So all the cameras stopped me and they asked me my thoughts. I said, I like Usyk to win. I said it here on the show. Same reason I liked him the first fight.
Yeah, I was going to say that, by the way, when we introduced the next fight, you hit it right. You hit the nail right on the head. You described exactly what was going to happen per usual, and we'll get into that in a minute. But for the record, yeah, you nailed it again.
No, thank you. I'm not right all the time. I'm wrong too often. I get it.
No, I know, but they'll beat you over the head when you're wrong. So when you're right, you deserve to be acknowledged for being right as well.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate the fans and all that, right or wrong. I appreciate they're there, and I'm wrong. They tell me I'm wrong. I'm right. They say, Teddy, you were right. So I appreciate that, Ken. But at the end of the day, on the way in, they get the red carpet, the whole thing. You come in, they throw the camera in front of you. Teddy, who do you like tonight? I like Usyk. And then they ask the second question, which they don't ask too often. I think it might have been the night before when they had the dinner and we were there for the Ring magazine, which is going to be, the Ring magazine is going to be like boxing. It's going to get better because of what Serhii Alishik's putting into it. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. Better writers, better everything. But anyway, they asked me, who's the face of boxing? Who's going to be the new face to boxing? Now, the faces of boxing have been Canelo, Fury, and I was the first one to answer this way. They were a little surprised I said it, but I said it before. The face of boxing right now is Serhii Alishik. And it's not to get in good. I already have a decent relationship with him. I've been over there 6 times. It's not for any of that. A lot of people will say, "Oh, that's what it's." No. But you can say it. That's your prerogative. But that's fine. I'm just telling you. No, I say what my brain tells me, my experience and my judgment and facts tell me to say. He's become the face of boxing, what he's done the last year. But they were asking me who in boxing of the fighters could be the new face in boxing. And you know what I said? And they were a little shocked. I said, Moses Itauma. Now, he's in London. It's different than him. He's across the pond. So I love you guys, you know that. But he's across the pond. So it's a little different than what he'll get over here as far as recognition. Although the fans, there's no better fans. I mean, they come out. They put 100,000. They put 98,000 people in Wembley Stadium. Me and my daughter was sitting there ringside for the Dubois Joshua fight. I mean, come on. Where else in the world you going to do that? Not too many places. And like I said, if the doorman from the King's Arms had fought Joshua instead of Dubois, they would have put at least 50,000 in. All right, for the doorman, Ken. For the doorman. I mean, that's how devout these English fans are. So, but over there, you don't, you build a guy up easier, but it's never easy. You got to put the work in like Hearn does, like Eddie Hearn, like Frank Warren, they put the work in. There's no doubt about it. And they know what they're doing. They know how to build a fight, and they've been doing it a long time. But it's easy in a way that there's no competition. There's no LeBron James. There's no Tiger Woods. There's no Tom Brady. Even though Brady's retired, I get it. But you people understand what I'm saying. There's no baseball. There's no basketball. There's no American football. There's not all those other things. I joke with my brothers and sisters over across the pond. I say, you guys, what do you got? You got snooker? I met the greatest snooker player of all time, by the way, the other day, and it was an honor. It was an honor. We took a picture. It got like 200,000 views in like 2 seconds, maybe more now. And it was just Ronnie the Rocket. They call him the Rocket. It's just an honor to meet him. Good guy, big boxing fan. But I always joke with the fans over there. You got snooker. You got darts. Sam? So it's easier to build a fighter because you don't have all the other things we have going on over here. It's easier to, but the fans are rabid. They're rapid. They come out. You also have golf. I know it. You got golf too. I get it. I know. And you got crumpets. But I don't know if he'll become the face of boxing he'll definitely be the face in London. or in England, I should say, the whole country will know this guy, and they're starting to know Itauma. But I drew his name out there as a potential of being the next face in boxing. If he can get that kind of promotion over here and there, because I know he'll get it across the pond. But Itauma is spectacular enough to perhaps, and being a heavyweight, everyone wants to look at the heavyweights. I mean, that's the head of the snake. Everyone wants to look at the heavyweights. I think he has potential to become the next face, possibly, of boxing. Anyway, we covered the hell out of that, maybe more than people wanted it covered. Let's go to the main event.
Yeah, let's get into it. Before we get started, I know that you traveled with your athletic greens because they're the essential travel supplement. Especially, I take it every day, but especially when I'm traveling. Athletic Greens is the all-in-one green drink. You mix it with 8 to 10 ounces of water in the morning. Drinks goes down smoothly, tastes great. Most importantly, it's made from 75 whole food sourced ingredients. It was developed over a period of months, probably years, with a team of widely respected doctors. Athletic Greens make sure that you're getting all the vitamins, nutrients, and minerals that you need in your daily diet, regardless of what you're eating. The healthiest diet in the world can miss some of the micronutrients that Athletic Greens contains. So I highly recommend this stuff. I take it every single day. Like I said, I'm sure Teddy was traveling with the travel packs. Go to athleticgreens.com/Atlas. They'll send you 10 of these free travel packs with your first purchase. Again, athleticgreens.com/Atlas to take advantage of the offer from Athletic Greens, the number one green drink in the world and an essential for Teddy and myself. All right, let's get into the main event. Usyk, in my opinion, cements his legacy as one of the best all-time pound-for-pound fighters, cleaning out the division at cruiser and now heavyweight. I thought he won convincingly. I thought the scores were right on the money, 116, 112. The virtual AI judge had it 118, 110, I believe.
Oh, can I jump in?
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you for the AI.
AI.
Right?
Yeah.
The AI judge. We could have used him in the Fisher Allen fight. That's all I want to say. We could have used him. That might be the thing in the future. I hate to replace people with machines, and I'm not gonna. But my.
Yeah.
It was an auspicious start. And of course, it was in Saudi Arabia where Turkey al-Sheikh's doing all this stuff. But to have AI really officiate this fight, judge this fight, they did it did a better job than the judges did in that one fight tonight, the earlier fight Saturday night. But it did not. I know people laugh about it, but it did not embarrass the idea of someday that being the future or thinking about it in some way, because it did a good job.
No, same thing with baseball. When you look at the automated pitch caller, it's never wrong. You can see right in real time where the pitch went. But I would say this before I turn it over to you. Watching the fight, I thought it was like I didn't score it round by round. I love Tyson Fury. I love Usyk. I have no dog in the fight. I genuinely just wanted to see a good fight. This is not biased towards either. I thought 16-12, yeah, that's pretty much what I see. I see Usyk winning the majority of the rounds. He pressed the action. He landed the more consequential blows, in my opinion. I thought he was on the gas all night, right from round one. You know, Tyson Fury had some moments here and there, but he's so big, you would think that the punches would have had more of an effect on Usyk. They did not. I don't know why they're so dug in on saying that this score was unacceptable. Frank Warren, right after the fight, saying, we're going to protest this. And I was literally like, what fight is he watching? There's no way that I could see a grounds for objecting to that score. I'm dying to hear what you think. It was, unanimous. All three judges scored it the same exact way, although they had different rounds, different scores. What'd you think of the score, and did they get it right?
They got it perfect. Look, I tear apart the judges when I think they're wrong. Everyone knows that. I'm infamous for that, or famous, or whatever. And some judges don't like me for that. I don't care. I'm saying what I believe for the benefit of the fighters in the sport. When the judges are bad, like I said, I'm going to put light. I'm going to put ultraviolet light. I'm going to put a heat lamp. I'm going to put the sun. I'm going to put a prism, a magnifying glass, everything on those judges are being wrong. When they're right, I want to do the same thing. They were spectacular. One, as some people are going to say, only because they agree with me. Go ahead, say it if you want. Of course. What else would the reason be? I have to believe that my scorecard's right. Otherwise, I wouldn't put it up there. So I believe that they had it the way I had it. I had it 116, 112. I'm going to put it up because you're going to see all my scribble, my notes during the fight, what I thought about the round, my little side details, my side notes, here, I'll put it up now, Sam, where the fans, they can see that. And you see my scribble, You see all my notes, you see all the little stuff on there that I'm reminding myself of at the moment, why I gave him that round or didn't give him that round. All of that side stuff, you can catch that too if you're interested. But at the end of the day, I had it 116, 112 for Usyk, same as the judges had it. I went into this fight picking Usyk. I said, throw a penny here on a knockout either way if you want. But I said, Usyk's the one who's going to win the fight. Same reason why I picked him the first time. He knows how to win. He finds a way to win. And I'm going to play off. I'm going to piggyback off you, Ken, which was a great point. He really set himself in history for his place as one of the greats. He did. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He went and won the cruiserweight title, unified the cruiserweight title, wiped out the class, beat everyone, became the undisputed cruiserweight champ, same as Holyfield. If Holyfield wasn't robbed in the Olympics, he should have been a gold medalist. If he wasn't robbed by that terrible ref, that corrupt ref, whatever he was, I don't know what he was. I don't know what he was, but he was horrible. If he wasn't disqualified for a late punch against Barry in that fight, which the punch was already started before the referee said don't punch. So he never should have been DQ'd. But if he wasn't, he would have been a gold medalist. He unified the cruiserweight champ. And then as his smaller championships, and then as his smaller heavyweight, he stepped up and he won the heavyweight title. That's what Holyfield did. Well, Usyk, of course, the difference, he's still undefeated. But Usyk has followed the same path of the great Holyfield. Gold medal, even though Holyfield got robbed. Gold medal, crucified unification, steps up as a small heavyweight, goes to another country, beats a big heavyweight champion, big puncher, favorite son of the country, Joshua, beats him. And then just to show there wasn't a fluke, what does he do? Goes back to the same place, the same scene of the crime, the same country, and he beats him again. And then what does he do? Along the way, he beats Dubois, who's now, I know Dubois is a different man now, but put that aside. He beats Dubois. I know you're going to bring up the low blow, all that stuff. He wins the fight. He gets through it. He finds out. Dubois did not on that night. I think he would now. He would get through whatever he had to get through. But on that night, Dubois did not have the capacity, the wherewithal mentally to get through what he had to get through. He didn't. I know there was controversy, but no matter what, low blow or not, Usyk's not stopping. He's going to get through that fight. Usyk beats Dubois. He beats Joshua twice. Now he's unified the title in his last fight before this against Usyk, then against Fury. Then what does he do? The same thing he did against Joshua when he beats Joshua, as an underdog. He shows it's not a fluke. He goes back. He beats him again. What does he do with Fury? He beats Fury in a real tightly contested fight, unbelievable, titanic fight, iconic fight for the ages, fight that was worthy of an undisputed title fight for the first time in 25 years since Lennox Lewis unified the title with Holyfield. I mean, just a classic fight, a historic fight, just to show that wasn't a fluke. What does he do? He goes back, and he goes back to the same place in Riyadh. He fights Fury again, and he beats him again. With all of that, he's beaten the two top heavyweights twice each. He's beaten Dubois, who's also got one of the other belts now. He's beaten him. He has beaten everybody. He has met every challenge along the way, and he's done it with class and dignity. I think that, yes, anyone who goes against this, you got to be disgruntled, you got to be angry, you got to be a hater, you got to have an ulterior motive. Something's wrong. Anyone who does not agree with this, that he has put himself in the pantheon of great fighters in the sport of boxing as one of the great heavyweights of all time. Yeah, I said it. There's a lot of people going to say, but you got this one, you got that. I know. You got a lot of greats. You got Jack Johnson, you Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Jack Demsey. I mean, you go on and on and on. I got the list. I know the history. I have nothing but respect, all of them. I'm just saying Usyk has joined that crowd. Fellas, meet the next great. He is in that crowd. He is now in that crowd. And in the crowd with all of them, even guys like Ali. And you know what? Before you start saying, oh, Teddy, no. I mean, is this funny, Ken? I'm going to tell you something. My son reminded me of this. Is this funny, Ken? For me to mention him with Ali, he's the same height, he's the same reach, and he's the same birthday.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's right, Ken. That's right, Ken. He is.
The other thing I would add about Usyk is just, this guy is like class, top to bottom. He's never involved in controversy. No, I know you did. I'm just echoing.
He's just dignity.
He was so complimentary to Fury after the fight, says he's the greatest challenger. I hated the way that Dubois jumped into the ring during his post-fight interview. Usyk is a man of character and integrity. If you're next, you're next. You don't have to try and back him into a corner and attack him on air. I just I hated the way he did that. You could have at least waited till the interview was wrapping up, and the way Usyk just kind of dismissed it was just yeah, okay, you're next. Mr. Excellency, make this fight. I just loved it. Why would anyone think that Usyk was afraid to make that fight? I get Dubois. There's so much money there. You're talking $100 million. If you want to act like that, I just didn't think it did anything for Daniel's stock, and I like Daniel Dubois.
Now, here's what I'm going to say to that. I agree. I understand that. I understand what you just said, your those thoughts. I really do. Here's what I would say towards that. Not that anything really has to be said towards that. Dubois is a different guy. He's a confident guy now after that. Dubois still has that burning at him that he lost to Usyk. So there's pride there. There's something to prove there. Besides that he's got one of the belts. There's a lot of money there. Besides all that, there's also he wants to finish this up, Dubois. He's made the record clean. He's cleaned the slate, redeeming himself with the last few fights, and then, of course, culminating with the ultimate in redemption, winning the heavyweight title against Joshua. Not too many people thought he had a shot. So he's done that. He's like I said, he's cleaned the slate in that way. But there's still a couple spots on that slate. One of the spot that's still on that slate is Usyk. He lost to Usyk. He got stopped by Usyk. And he feels like he's a different guy. And I agree with him. He's a different guy. But I agree with the way he did it. I think, unfortunately, now, I think that was part of why he did it, what I just described, that he's got that in his craw, that he wants to redeem himself against Usyk, and he won't feel... It's kind of like Joe Louis. When Joe Louis came up, he got knocked out on the way up by Schmeling, a great fighter from Germany. And then he won the title against Braddock. And when they called him champ, he said, "Don't call me champ," he told his people. And he said, "What do you mean, you're champ?" "Not until I beat that guy." And everyone knew who he meant, Schmeling. Not till I beat that guy. I think in some ways Dubois is saying that. I can't really feel the way I need to feel as a champ until I beat that guy. And he's right. To get all the titles, you got to beat that guy. But I think it's also on a personal level. He's that guy that beat him. He's got to beat him. I think that was part of it, Ken. I'm not making an excuse for Dubois, who I like as a kid. I'm not making an excuse for him. But I think that's... And I also think nowadays, the way things are, Ken, everyone thinks that they got to do that. You know what I mean? They got to get in the ring. They got to call the next guy out. They got to do that stuff for the promotion of the fight, for the clicks that it gets on social media, for the cameras that are there. I just feel like these guys feel like have to do that. You don't have to do. To your point, Ken, you don't have to do that. You could do what Usyk does. Just win. You know, like the great Al Davis. My son might have been the last guy hired by Al Davis before he died, the great owner of the Oakland Raiders and everything else that he was, great football mind. You know, he coined that saying, just win, baby. Just win, baby. Hey, Al, what do you think about this? What do you think about that, Al? What do you think? Just win, baby. And that's kind of Usyk. He should get his shirt made up that way. Just win, baby. Because that's all he does. Just win, baby. So you don't have to go and have those histrionics and have all that hyperbole and all that whatever. Just win. And carry yourself the same way you fight with a certain level of class and a certain level of expertise and a certain level of greatness. Conduct yourself with that same level of greatness with integrity, with class. And that's what Usyk, and that's part of what makes him so easy to root for and so great. You know, and he's representing a whole country, giving hope to the people that have been so beaten down, that have been bombed out in that country. Gives those people hope. Just that, hey, one of us is the champ, the champ, the best heavyweight in the world. I mean, that we have that strength. That's in our blood. He's our blood. He is our blood. We will not give up. We will not give in to this Russian invasion. No matter what they take away, no matter how much concrete they blow up, no matter how many lives they take away, we will not give in. We will not give up. We will not stop being proud Ukrainian people. We will not stop living. And he represents that. And I think Fury represents the comeback kid. He represents all the people that have been down in the world, trials and tribulations in their life, that have had difficult times in their lives, that have thought about quitting in their lives, had suicide, even as terrible as it is, maybe even quitting life, where he's had suicidal thoughts, where he had terrible situations from drug and alcohol abuse, where he spiraled downwards after he won the fight. He shocked the world by beating Klitschko, outboxing Klitschko and winning the title, and then going into a spiral for a couple of years with drugs and alcohol. And like I said, awful thoughts of suicide. And he came back. One of the great punches in the history of boxing, of heavyweight boxing, Wilder. Not a fighter who was a great fighter altogether, it's the package, but a guy who had a lot of heart, a guy who won a heavyweight title, was well brought along by Al Heyman, really well brought along. And, he had the power, Wilder. And he drops Fury in that first fight, in the 11th round, I believe. Looks like he's shot by an AR-6. He's laying there, and he gets up like at the count of 9. He gets up, and he shows the whole world that you can get up. Because everyone knew he had been down for those years. He was very honest about where he had been suicidal. He had, like I said, struggled with drugs and alcohol. He comes all the way back. He fights for the title again. He gets dropped by a great puncher, and he gets up. And again, just teaches everybody that, hey, you're not done until you say you're done. If you don't say you're done, you're not done. You can get up. Don't quit. Don't ever quit. No matter what you're going through in life, you can get through it if you don't quit, if you don't quit on yourself. And right there was just the perfect explanation of that. He's on the floor, and what does he do? He gets up. After all this stuff in his background, knowing all that stuff I just said, he decides, no, it's not going to end here. My story don't end here. My family's story don't end here. My history don't end here. I'm getting up. I'm living. I'm finding a way. And he got up, he got a draw, and then he comes back, fights him twice, and he knocks him out. And the rest is history. He becomes the top heavyweight in the world. He makes hundreds of millions of dollars, and then he's fighting these unbelievable fights for the undisputed title against Usyk. So both of these fighters represent so much more than just punches, so much more than just leather on their hands, so much more than just pugilism. They really do. And they're great examples in their own rights. And that's why I wanted to say that. I picked Usyk, again, he knows how to win. He's one of the great winners you're ever going to see of our time. He finds a way to win. That's his greatest trait. He's a well-rounded guy, does everything well. There's nothing he does weak. Got good hand speed, decent power, technically very solid, great legs. He can box, he can go get you, he can fight in the trenches, he can fight at a distance, he can counterpunch, he can set traps, he's smart, he's calm in an uncommon environment. He's well-rounded. Fury's well-rounded and versatile too. He's not as good on the inside as Usyk is, but he can fight outside, he can go get you. He's well-rounded too, but Usyk is so packaged. He is the package. And he's mentally as good as it gets. He is the mental side is the cement that keeps all those parts together. All those parts, those great parts that I just talked about. The mental part is the concrete, the glue that keeps it from coming apart. That keeps it together under pressure. And that's what counts in this business. Who can do it under pressure? Not in the gym. Who can do it under pressure? When the lights are on, when a moment comes, when the devil knocks at the door, when you're tempted to spit the bid, to break down, to give in, to say, no, I'll fight another day. No, I'm fighting today. There ain't no other day. With people like him, there are no other days. There's only this day, right now, right in front of me, right now. Tomorrow will be tomorrow. Today is today. I must conquer or be conquered. I must. And that's why they do it. So he's a great package, but there's not one area where you could say, oh, Usyk's the greatest puncher. He's the fastest. He's the this, he's that. There's not one of his legs are really good, but there's not one area you could say, oh my God, I've never seen anybody that good in that one area. But there's not one area he's weak. It's very rare you can say that about a fighter. His defense is good, everything. He puts punches together, everything. There's not one area you could say, oh, he's not good in that area. Every area, he is really good. There's not one area you could say maybe he's great, but there's no area you could say he's not good. There's no weakness there. And the most important thing is his greatest trait, with all those great traits, he finds a way to win. And Fury's great too, but this guy is special. He is generational. And what happened in this fight? Fury came in heavier. He said he was more focused than ever. I believe him. He was more, well, the scale don't lie. He was bigger. But I think he trained real well. He was isolated. 3 months in camp, away from his family, away from his wife. Didn't even speak to them. 3 months of captivity, concentrating on only one thing. Getting back the title that he lost. And he did everything that he needed to do. He trained hard. He thought putting weight on would be good. He put more muscle. His body was a little. He's never gonna have an Arnold Schwarzenegger body. He's never gonna have a body beautiful. It ain't happening. It looks like a mudslide. It ain't happening, Ken. But it ain't about the body. It's about what's inside the body, and he's got that. But he was stronger. He was better fit. He didn't get tired. He didn't run out of gas, if you want to call it that. I didn't think he ran out of gas the first time. I thought he was run out of gas and boiled down by the pressure of Usyk the first time, by pressuring him like you put a pot of boiling water on the stove and you watch the flame deteriorate that water, vaporize that water, evaporate that water, boil that water. I thought he got boiled down. That's why he got caught and he ran out of gas late in the first fight. He got boiled down by the pressure, because pressure is like the flame on the... Pressure does the same thing the flame does to the pot of water. It boils you down. It breaks pipes. It evaporates people. And I thought that's what happened the first time. This time he made a concerted effort to say, you know what? Win or lose, I ain't getting beat that way. I ain't getting beat that way. He came in better mentally, better focused, 3 months of camp, better condition, bigger, which he wanted to be. All of that. I don't know if it served him, but it did serve him mentally, where he felt he needed to be stronger and not get pushed around the ring. I had laid out a fight plan with all the interviews I did. The Sun, I think it's the Sun in London, they put it in their first front page of their sports of what my plan was. My plan, if I was Fury, I picked Usyk to win. But I said, if I'm Fury, my approach in this fight, my game plan in this fight is going to be this. Don't just move around where he can pressure, and wear you out. Set yourself. Yes, people said, is he going to push him back? I said, he can push him back in spots, and that's why he put weight on. And it kind of told the story. When you saw the scale, you saw the way, you kind of knew what his plan was going to be, or what it wasn't going to be. He wasn't just going to move around. He was going to be more aggressive. He was going to be more inclined to try to be the boss, not to let this guy come forward as much as he did the first time. So the weight told you that. But as far as his plan, I said, look, he's got 2 choices. 3, really. He could box again, or this time he could push Usyk, or, and that's the one I would have chose, set himself on the outside where he could use his wingspan, his height, set himself on the outside, know how to fight like a tall guy, which he does. Set himself on the outside, use the jab, control range, establish distance with your jab, set the table with your jab, and eat with right hands once in a while. Look for the uppercut a little bit more. Go to the body a little bit more. The body, you know, you hurt. He's been hurt there before, Usyk. Everyone knows that. Try to go to the body. You went there pretty good the first time. You could have done more. Go to the body. But on the whole, set yourself. Don't just move and float around. Grab the floor. Put your claws into the floor. Grab the floor at a certain range and control it. And make it hard. Be set to punch. Keep him at the end of your punches and make it hard for him to come in. It wasn't hard for him to come in and put pressure on you the first time. Make it harder for him to come forward. Make him pay a price to come forward, or at least think he has to pay a price to come forward. Make him earn his way in. Set yourself at a distance with the jab outside here. Bop, bop, bop. Set the table with the right, bop, bop, with the right hand, uppercuts. But keep the range where you're ready to punch. Don't move where he can walk in with no threat. Let there be a threat. Let there be pressure on him. He did that. He chose that way. Him and his trainer, Sugar Hill, they were ready. They chose the right. He even didn't have his father in the corner. So he did everything because his father's been good with him and all, and he's won. But at the same time, he could be a distraction. Too many voices. For me, there's only one voice in the corner. That's it. Don't hire me if you think there's going to be another voice. Because there's, oh, Teddy, you want to be in charge? Yeah, I do. It's not ego. Yeah, it really doesn't take the amazing Kreskin to answer that question. Oh, Teddy, you want to be a dictator? Oh, yeah, actually, you want to call it that? Go ahead, call it. If what you're saying is, I'm going to be in charge, yes. Otherwise, get someone else. If I'm the trainer, I'm going to take the blame if he loses. I'm going to get a tiny bit of the, hopefully of the little credit. You don't need credit if you win. Winning is enough credit. But I get the good if he wins. I get the bad if he loses. It's going to be my choices of those things to lead to that. It's not going to be someone else talking. It's not going to be a majority here. No, it's a dictatorship. When it comes to, if I'm training you, you asked me to train you for a reason. You think enough of my opinion, my judgment, my talent that you can trust it, and that you're going to follow it, right? Otherwise, go get someone else, no problem. But then say, oh, Teddy, so you're saying you want to be, it's just your way of the highway. Yes. What do you think, you're cornering me into a corner like a courtroom? And you admitted it. No, I tell you, of course it's that way. That's what a real trainer does. That's what a real coach in any sport does. That's what a real lawyer in a courtroom does. He doesn't ask his client, how do you want me to try this case? No, he tries it the way he tries it because that's why you hired him, for those talents, those decisions, that ability, that judgment. So, yeah, if I'm in a corner, I'm the only voice. I'm the only voice in camp, the only voice. Ken witness that, so Ken can attest to this. Otherwise, get someone else. One time a writer said, a fighter said, Teddy's a dictator. And the writer said, how do you feel about that, Ted? Do you want to say something against that? I said, no, he's right. I'm not chopping heads off. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting people in front of a death squad. I don't think I'm that guy, Sam. Ken, you've been in camp with me. I'm not doing that. But yeah, I'm in charge. Otherwise, go get someone else. So I give credit. It's not easy with a father. I give credit to Fury that he didn't have to father there. Father made a decision not to be there too because he told him that it had to be one voice. So the father could have been there, but he decided not to be because I guess he didn't feel right about being told he couldn't have a voice in there, whatever. But to tell the father, and they got a good relationship, to tell the father who's been there with him before that it could only be Sugar Hill, it could only be one voice, I give him credit. He gave himself every chance to win, Fury, every chance to win. And the difference was early on, you saw Fury. I thought he won the first 2 rounds. I thought first round was close. I thought he won the first 2 rounds. He was establishing territory, turf, geography. He was doing what I said that I thought he should do. Setting himself, controlling the outside, not allowing Usyk to run the ship. Not allowing Usyk to have his way, to just be the boss. And Fury was fighting the right guy, using the jab. The first round was close. I thought he out-jabbed Usyk a little bit. He won on the power of his jab. The jab was very important, very important. I thought he won the first 2 rounds mostly with the jab. He set up a right hand once in a while. You had mentioned earlier about how Usyk, I don't know if it was his chin or something about that he took Fury's punches. Part of the greatness of Usyk, quite frankly, yeah, he's got a great chin like the great fighters do, but part of his real ability to win this fight and all his fights too, for the most part, is his defense is good. He don't get hit as often as people think he's getting hit or get hit clean. That's part of it. He didn't get hit.
That's fair.
It is. Thank you. He didn't get hit clean really that much. Yeah, he got hit with the right hand. He got hit some good body shots. He got hit a couple of shots. But not real, some jabs. Not clean, a lot of clean shots. His defense is good. That's part of his success. Part of why he's successful. I thought the first 2 rounds went to Fury, being set more, being ready to punch, fighting the fight he wanted to fight. And then I thought Usyk did what he does. He saw momentum the first 2 rounds go to Fury. He said, okay, we got to break this momentum up a little bit. He stepped it up in the 3rd round. He took the 3rd round. I thought he took the 3rd and the 4th round. He took back the momentum. He did it the old-fashioned way, moving his head, using his jab, using his feet, good footwork off to the sides, giving angles, not giving a straight target to Fury. But for the most part, marching forward, like the great armies, taking the hill, marching forward, making progress, moving that line, moving forward. Come on, guys, let's move up. We got to take some territory. We got to take a few miles today. We got to move in. And he was moving in, going to the body. We talked about Fury going to the body. Usyk did beautiful body work, trying to wear the big guy. Yeah, he's a big guy, but you recognize when you got a big guy, don't look at only the negatives. Don't look at only his positives. Oh, he's big. Oh, he's got a big body. Look at it the way Usyk looks at it, the way winners look at it. He looked at it and he said, there's a lot of body to hit. There's a big body there. I can hit the body and there's some softness in the body, but there's a lot of target. And sure enough, he found that target. He zeroed in on the body from all the way from the beginning, from the southpaw stance. He's putting pressure on in the 3rd round. He's using the jab to get in. He's going to the body. He's starting to make progress. He's starting to take control. He took the momentum back for 2 rounds. Then the 5th round, turning point of the fight. 6th and 5th. Big round for Fury. Big round. Big round for Fury. Goes to the body, backs him up, presses him back. His pride is there too. Fury, he knows he can't let this guy get in control the way he was starting to get in control. He takes control in that fifth round, and he's got a terrific round. A terrific round for Fury. I just want to look at my notes a little bit right here. But big round for Fury. Much more aggressive, backing him up, landed a good body shot. And what happens after that? Here is the fight. Fifth round, could have been all Fury now. Nope. Not when you're in there with a generational winner. Because to win, Ken, it's kind of like you in the marathon racing, which I've always tried to give you that extra little spot about how great you are in your race, gives you that credit, make sure people heard about it. Because you have been great. You've won the title with the 50-year-old or 50 and over with the title for the marathon, the best time for someone 50 and over in the Masters class. Listen, what do you know? You know that in a race, you can't let the guy in front of you, your main competition, you can't let him get out of sight. You can't let him get too far ahead. You can't. You can't. That's what makes you a great marathon runner. That's what makes Usyk a generational great. He knew after that fifth round, just like he knew in the Joshua fight when he had a tough round, both those Joshua fights, and he changed it around the very next round, not 2 rounds later, the next round. He knew, Usyk knew, I can't let him get 2 rounds in a row like this. I can't let him get farther away from me, like Ken knows. I can't let him get farther away from me. I must close the gap now. I must put the hammer down now. I must show who the boss is now. I must take control now. Now. And that's exactly why he's the great Usyk. The 6th round was the whole fight. The whole fight, guys. The whole fight. He comes in that 6th round, and what does he do? He does just what I said he knew he had to do. He wins the 6th round. He wins it big. I just want to confirm myself and not rely on my memory in that 6th round. He wins the 6th round, comes back. Usyk comes back. He came back late in the 5th a little bit, but it was too late. It was Fury's round. But the 6th round, Usyk, what does he do? He comes out, he backs Fury up. He was the boss. And then what's he do? He hurts him with a left hand to the head. Set up beautifully with a jab to the body. He was trying with that left hand all night. And to the credit of Fury, he had his right hand up real well, better than he did the first time. And he wouldn't let that left hand get in. But he got it in the 6th when he had to. And he hurt Fury for a second. And then he changed everything at that round. The momentum came right back to Usyk, and there's one difference with Usyk and other guys. When he gets the momentum, he's like Ken in a marathon race. He's going to stay there now. Once he got that momentum, he ain't giving it back. What does he do then? He wins the 7th, he wins the 8th, he wins the 9th, he wins the 10th, he wins the 11th. And I gave the 12th to Fury. Very close round, but I gave it to Fury. But he wins the 10th. I'll say it again. He wins the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th. He took control of the fight. He took the control by being smart defensively, by being consistent, by putting the pressure on, going to the body, using his jab to get in, closing the gap, and putting punches together. Fury was using the jab pretty well. Very nice. A lot of jab and contest rounds there. No doubt about it. But Fury was looking for 1-2 shots. The right hand, the uppercut. 1 or 2. Usyk all night was throwing 5 and 6. 4, 5, 6 punch combinations. Guess what, Ken? I wasn't a mathematician, but I you know what I mean, Ken? I get that. I wasn't, like I said, going to algebra and all that stuff, but basic math, I think I get it. 5 and 6 beats 1 and 2 every day of the week. and twice, not on Sunday, but twice on Saturday night when you're fighting for the title. 5 and 6 beats 1 and 2. He was putting 5 and 6 punch combinations together all freaking night, and the other guy was throwing 1 and 2. Look, he took such control of the fight, I was starting to doubt myself. I turned to my son. I was keeping score at ringside. I turned to my son. I said, Bud, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight rounds. I don't know. Am I going? I mean, I know what I'm saying, but are the judges going to be daring to? Because a lot of people wanted Fury to win. They're looking for the Joshua fight again, even though I think it's lost its luster. I'm not going to take it away from the English people. They're the greatest fans. They are great. They want that fight. God bless them. You're still going to get that fight. But I think the luster, Joshua have to get knocked out by Dubois. Fury losing twice in a row here. I think the luster's up, but they love those guys. They love their guys. That's their guys. That's their fight. They're still going to fill Wembley Stadium. They're probably still going to make it. I don't know. At the end of the day, like I said, there was a lot of people there that wanted Fury to win that fight. So I was a little nervous. Because they wanted the Joshua fight. So I was a little nervous. I was like, like I said, I turned to my son. I said, Bud, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight rounds for Usyk, and I'm not changing it. I got it, but I don't know if the judges are gonna. I mean, because I was worried about the bad part of boxing, but the good part showed up. The judges were as good as the fighters that night. That don't happen too often. It don't happen to us, but I give them credit. I tear them apart when they're bad. I build them up. I put them where they belong, on a pedestal. Really not on a pedestal. You shouldn't be rewarded too much for doing your job. But I still will give them extra kudos when the judges do their job, because too many of them don't do their job. And the judges did their job. They did their job under pressure, under whatever. A lot of people, as I said, did want Fury to win. They did their job. They gave an honest decision, a proper decision, a right decision. And they were as good as the fighters, which doesn't happen too often. The fighters are always great for the most part. They were as good as the fighters. They were champions too, the judges. They were champions too. And they did the right thing. Thank God. Thank God. And 116, 112. Like I said, I turned to my son. I said, Bud, I don't know if the judges, is it possible? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The judges are going to be honest and see it the right way, the same way as I think I'm seeing it. They were. I was concerned because there was a couple rounds in there where Fury made a little run late, where he might have landed an uppercut late or threw a good uppercut to the body or did a little something late where, he could have tried to steal the round. But for the most part, those rounds, 3/4 of the round was all Usyk. Usyk won because of everything I just said. And he also won because his offense and his offensive attack was more consistent than Fury's. Fury's was okay. It was good, but consistency means something. He was consistent round after round, winning 3/4 or the full round, where Fury wasn't winning full rounds. The consistent flow of the offense was there on the side of Usyk. That water faucet, if you want to think of it as water coming from a faucet, it kept coming steady. It kept flowing steady. It never was disrupted. It was never turned off. The water flow of Fury's was not as constant, not as steady, not as much of a regular rhythm and flow. It was kind of like, every once in a while the sprinklers got turned on instead of the water just coming straight out of the hose. The water in Usyk's attack was straight out of the hose. Kept coming consistently round after round. And that's what he is. He's a solid guy as a human being and as a fighter. He's a solid man. And it shows. And there's something about being solid. There's something about having character. I said that before. I've said it again. I'll say it till I die. Put it on my tombstone. You know, you might win certain things without having great character, but you won't stay there. You might have so much brain, so much talent, so much money, so much power, so much whatever. At that moment, you might have your moment. You might. But to stay there, you got to have character to stay there, to overcome those storms, and they will come. Even more so when you're successful. Everyone's coming after you. More pressure, more problems, if you want to call them problems, more things to deal with. But if you have character, you'll be able to deal with it. That'll be your fortress. That'll be your umbrella from the rain. That'll be the thing that will keep you there. Kind of like I said what I say a month ago, weeks ago about UConn. And they know it's my team. I talked to them. That's my team. University of Connecticut. They lost 3 straight games. Danny Hurley, the best one. They lost 3 straight games in Hawaii. They looked like they were done. Done. They're not going to three-peat. Done. No, they're going to three-peat again. I'll tell you again. They're going to three-peat again because since then, what have they done? Nothing but win against top teams, right back in the top 10. They were all the way down to number 20 or beyond. Right back to the top 10, beating top teams. Why? Character. Matter of fact, I'd take it a step further. I think the great ones have to be tested to show their greatness. They want to be tested somewhere deep down in the bowels of themselves. They want to be tested to show their greatness, to awaken what has to be awakened to really be great because the talent's there, but the other stuff has to be there to carry that, to push that talent, to rise that talent. I think that UConn's going to be the champion because they got talent, again, for the 3rd time. I think they're going to win the title because they lost 3 in a row. I think that ignited them. I think that they were sleepwalking a little bit with the 2 straight national titles, a little bit, and it woke them up. It reminded them. It reminded them what we all have to be reminded of. We want to be great, you got to be great every day. You want to be great, you can't rely on your greatness from yesterday or yesteryear. No, you got to be great every day. You got to answer the bell every day. You got to freaking open the door and punch the devil in the face every day when he knocks on the door. You can't be that just sometimes. No. What you did in the past was in the past. You got to be great today and tomorrow, every day. You got to depend on the same thing. You can't depend on it taking care of itself because you're such good shooters. You're so fast. You're such a good, put punches together. So, no. You got to be ready to go to that place, that ugly place, that dark place, that uncomfortable. You got to be ready to be uncomfortable and not get too comfortable with your victories and with your success. You better be ready to get down and dirty. You better be ready again to get into those cold places, those places where you shiver with fear, you shiver with not being what's coming in the raw, cold facts that something very tough has just gone and come to you, something that you thought you were past. You never passed it. You still got to get past it. You still got to deal with it. You still got to overcome it. You got to be prepared always to slay the dragon. You always got, because there's always another dragon. And you still got to be that guy. You can't be just a guy that knows how to use a sword, that knows how to... No, you still got to use that sword the way that a dragon slayer uses the sword. Ready to face the dragon. Ready to be even scratched by the dragon. You still got to be that guy. And like I said, UConn has shown that. I think that's why they're going to win the title again, because they lost those games. It reminded them of what you should never forget, that you have to fight as though it's your first win. You have to fight as though you got nothing in the bank, as though you're broke, as though there's no food on the table. In whatever your fight is, you have to bring that to the fight, not just the talents that you developed over the years. And that's what Usyk does. That's what Usyk does. He brings that. He does fight like a guy that his bank account is zero. If you want to tabulate things or you want to rate things that way, which some people feel comfortable rating things that way, like incentive. What's your incentive? What's your point? His incentive is just to be the best he can be. His incentive is just to wring every ounce, like you wring out every drip out of a rag. When you're trying to dry a rag, you wring it into every bit of sweat or water comes out of it. That is what he does. He wants every drip of what's in him to come out because he knows he needs every drip. And that's what makes him great. And at the end of the day, all night long, he just kept pressing the fight, putting punches together, getting closer and closer and closer. Give credit to Fury. Fury was better. Fury had a better game plan. He was better conditioned. At the end, I think, mentally and physically, he was ready to do what needed to be changed, what needed to be done different. He was better. I give Fury credit. He was better. Usyk was better. He's always going to be better because he has to be better. Because that's what champions do. They know they have to be better. They don't live on their laurels. They don't rest on their laurels. They might for a minute, like I said earlier, but that minute is only going to last a minute. And then they're going to say, oh no, wait a minute. Being a champion is not about what I did yesterday. It's not about the talents that I developed yesterday. Those talents still have to be brought forward by the other stuff. The stuff that sometimes can get relaxed. The stuff that sometimes can get satisfied. The hunger. The beast within. The drive to find a way. The drive to go further. Not to say, well, that's far enough. No. Why do you have to go further? You don't have to go further today, son. No, because it's there. But you don't have to. You went far enough today to win. No, I have to go because I can go further. Because there's somewhere further to go. That's what the Usyks and all those kind of champions, that's what makes them great. I used Michael Jordan one time as an analogy. Michael Jordan, all the money, the sneaker company, the billions of dollars that he's made, everything else, that guy was still a freaking pit bull dog. He was still a monster. He was still a junkyard dog every time, like you were stealing from him. Like with all his accolades, all his abilities, all of his accomplishments, all of his bank accounts, every game, every year, he come back like he was just starting. Like somebody had robbed him or something, insulted his mother or something. I mean, that's the great ones. That's the great ones. And at the end of the day, they asked me, is there anyone out there, Ken? And maybe this is the way I finish this one. Is there anyone out there on the horizon who can beat Usyk? And you know what my answer was? First of all, I think Dubois is a dangerous guy. I think he's gotten better. But right now, they're gonna look at that. They're gonna look at you got Parker, and Parker's earned his way. Parker is fighting Dubois. Joseph Parker, he's earned that right with the wins that he's with Wilder and with the Chinese fighter. He's won those fights. He's earned the right to fight for the title. He's an experienced guy. He's a warrior. He's a good fighter. He's got a real good trainer in Andy Lee. Both of them have earned the right to fight for the title. And that's going to be a tough fight, but they're going to fight Dubois. And then, of course, everyone's going to look now to unify it once again, even though he already did it. They're going to look for Usyk to unify it again with a guy that he has beaten. But again, a guy who's a different version of himself now. He is, in Dubois. But they asked the right question. The reporter said, Teddy, who's on the horizon? Because in their mind, he beat everyone. And some of the guys that are all right, they're not at that level yet. They're not developed enough. They're not like the kid I talked about, who I think a lot of, Itauma. It's not time for him yet. So who's on the horizon? Who's there now to beat Usyk? And I gave an answer. You ready for my answer?
Yep.
The same guy who's been on the horizon to beat all the greats. Father Time.
Yep.
The same guy who's just laying in wait. Whether your name is Ali, whether your name is Lewis, whether your name is Usyk. Just waiting for that chance to get in that place with you. Father Time, the only undefeated fighter. Usyk's 38 now? I think he's 38, 37, 38, whatever. That's the only thing. I'm not saying he's showing deterioration. I'm not even going there. I'm not saying that. No. And he lives the right life, and that's important, very important.
37, be 38 in January.
Yeah, so he's almost 38. But I'm just saying, it seems like with all the greats, with all the things that I just laid out there that makes them great, unfortunately, some of the greats, Marciano didn't know, he got out, but some of the greats stay too long. Partly because of what makes them great doesn't get shut off. Their belief that they can always win. Their ego, their beliefs, their confidence that they're always going to find a way to win. That made them champions, made them rich, made them, these famous people, these people that have a great legacy. But they don't know how to turn that off. It made them great. Sometimes it can also hurt them at the end.
Yep.
I don't know if he's going to go down that track. I hope he don't. I wish Ali didn't. I wish, Joe Louis didn't. But things are what they are. Life is what they are.
Right.
What it is for different people, different circumstances. But I can't see anyone else right now. Dubois would be an interesting fight, though. It would be. For me, if I'm Usyk, and I'm not, I'm going to say what I probably would have said about Tom Brady, which I would have been wrong. What I probably would have said about, Michael Jordan. He stayed, he didn't hurt his legacy. Either did Brady. I'm just saying. I would have said walk off into the sunset. Just, you know what I mean? It's perfect. It's perfect. You've done everything. You've made a ton of money. You've done everything. You've represented your country. You still represent them. Walk off into the sunset. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for various reasons. And probably if I was there, it wouldn't happen either. Who knows? We don't know till we're in that position. But what we do know is he is great. He's one of the greatest. And he's the champion of the world. He's the heavyweight champion. I know Dubois got the IBF, but for intents and purposes, the guy you're looking at.
Yeah, but no one believes that that's legitimate. Everyone knows that Usyk is the unified champion.
And again, to sum it up, I think I analyzed it pretty solid. But he just, that fifth round, he loses that fifth round. It was a good round. It was a good round give credit to Fury. He did what he had to do. But then Usyk did what he had to do, and he kept doing it.
Yep.
He kept doing it. He was brilliant. He was brilliant. Fury was better, but Usyk is special.
Yep.
I think that does it.
Yep, that's a perfect way to wrap it up and tell everyone Merry Christmas. Again, look for next week for Teddy and Teddy Jr. to be on the show together. And again, thank you to Teddy, thank you to Rob, and of course, thank you to the fans for all the love and support over the years. It's been an honor and a privilege, and I hope everyone has a great Christmas and holiday season, whatever you're celebrating. And Teddy, Merry Christmas to you, Rob and Sam. Thanks for everything, and I'm sure we'll all be in touch. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and look for a new fresh look to the show next week. And thanks again. Have a great holiday, everyone.